firstly, welcome along to this year's AGM. It's great to see you all, and I know Dave will obviously echo what I say. And as Alex said a little while ago, it's actually very strange that this is our third virtual AGM over so many months and a couple of years of the pandemic and whatever. And it seems like a lot of us are starting to catch it more than ever. It's definitely very prevalent in the hospital at the moment, and it's quite scary that a lot of the numbers are going up quite sharply. So stay safe if you haven't got it. I've luckily avoided it for the last 2 years, knock on wood. So there we go. We haven't got anybody joining us yet. Right, Dave, I will hand over to you as chair of the meeting. And I will also, at this point, make you host of the meeting, as you'll be able to do the contested election, which is coming up.
We did try this last night.
We did. Just for the record, that this evening's meeting is being recorded. So if you don't want your face on video, please shut your video off. If you don't agree with being recorded, you can leave the meeting at any point, just so you are aware of that. By me making Dave the host of the meeting, it allows him to run the ballot independently. I don't get to see any of the results, even though I'm the main host of the actual meeting, but I will hand over all permissions to Dave right now.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Well, firstly, I'll echo Wayne's thanks to everybody. It's good to see you all, and I'm sorry that we're doing it on the old video again. And hopefully next time we'll get to see each other in person. I know Wayne will be updating you later on about the return to the studio as and when that happens. But we will do this meeting like last year is split into two parts really. There's the formal meeting of which you've got the agenda, and then we'll hand control back to Mr. Fysh as our studio manager to take questions which should be fielded to any of the trustees, of course. So if we rattle through the first bit, that gives us more time for the second bit, as it did last time. So the first item on the agenda is, have we had any apologies? I don't think we have we, Wayne?
The only apology I've had is from Kevin.
Okay, so the first item on the agenda then is that we adopt the minutes of the AGM that was held on the 24th of March via Zoom as a true and accurate record of the meeting. You've all had links to the minutes of that meeting. Are we happy to accept that as a true and accurate record of the proceedings? Firstly,
we just need a proposer and a seconder.
I just need a proposer and a seconder, please.
Yeah, I'll propose.
Okay, second.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody in favour of that?
Yeah.
No dissent? Okay, fine. In which case we'll move on to item 2 on the agenda, which is, and by the way, for the record, obviously this isn't a contested thing, but I mean I've got approval to approve all of those by the proxies that I hold. Moving to item 2 on the agenda, then that's the annual report, which we've circulated. It will be put on to the Charity Commission's website and is available on our website now. Actually, isn't it, Wayne?
Not quite yet. No,
not quite, but it will be. So basically, you've had copies of it. It really is the formal statement of the trustees of the state of the charity. I'm pleased to say that we're in good order financially. Naturally, we're operating under the same problems that we had last year. But one of the things which I'm pleased to report is that we've built on our strengths that we gained when we went into lockdown the first time, and therefore, we've enhanced the service for our streaming and remote working access, which obviously a lot of us are providing content from. So the item, the resolution then is that we receive the annual report and approve it. So that's the first part. The second part is the accounts. So if we could do the report first, are we all happy that that's anybody against that one, or we have to accept it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In terms of the accounts, firstly, are there any questions? You've got copies of the link there. Now we will be publishing the audited accounts, which will be forwarded to the Charity Commission when they come back from the accountants. But the body of it, I mean, it's just the format of it more than anything else. And Alex can update us on that later if you wish. But it really gives you an overview of exactly where we are financially. In fact, we're like I said, we're in good order actually, in spite of not being able to get out and do fundraising. And thanks to Trevor and those that have ventured out during the various releases from lockdown. So we're happy to approve the accounts. Okay.
Need a proposer and seconder on that one, please.
Proposer and second. Okay, for both of those, to keep it formal, a proposer that we accept the annual report and accounts.
Yep.
Okay, and a seconder, please.
Yeah, second.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then to the third item on the agenda, which is the election of the revolving member of the Board of Trustees. Just to remind you that under the terms of our constitution, 2 trustees have to stand down in rotation each year, generally by the length of service. This year it is actually Alex and Wayne. Alex is standing uncontested, so he by default remains in post as treasurer, which brings us to the election for studio manager, which is between Stuart and Wayne. Now, we're going to do this by using a voting poll on the screen, which I will initiate.
Apologies for interrupting, Dave. Dave Swinton's in the waiting room.
Oh, right. Okay, let him in.
Sorry.
It's okay, because he'll want to vote. So where is he? I'm not seeing him come up in the waiting room.
Do you want me to read?
Oh, yes, hang on, I've got him. He's at the top there. Yeah, sorry, admit. Yeah. He crept up on my screen on the left-hand side. Right-hand side or wherever it is. Are you there,
This is
Dave?
getting confusing. We've got Dave, David, and David.
Yeah.
I am here.
I'm Dave L.
Yeah, we've got 2 Dave S.
I'm Dave L. So okay, so moving on to the election in that case. What I'll do is I'll launch the election to the trustee board. So basically you've got a choice between 2 people, so that's Stuart and Wayne. Now, in fact, I hold a proxy for Mike Wing at the moment, but since he's in attendance, Mike, I'm assuming that you'll be voting yourself unless you wish me to act as your proxy, but that means it's much easier if you vote yourself, because obviously we'd have to then work out who the heck could vote for what. Okay.
Mike's still on mute at the moment.
Yes, I noticed that he is still on mute. Are you hearing us, Mike?
Can you unmute, Mike?
Hang on, can I actually unmute? I probably can. Yes.
You probably can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that thumping is Mike moving his mic moving his mic around. I think it is.
Mike?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Now. Thank you, Mike. Obviously,
Yeah, well, I can't see anybody.
You can't see it because oh, can't you? Oh.
Are you on a phone?
No, I'm on an iPad,
Oh,
Oh yeah, we can see.
and I can't see anybody.
Can we see you?
We're an
Might
ugly
be
bunch. We've got
signal for you.
faces of radio, so
Yeah, we can hear.
Well,
and see.
Carrie's picture keeps coming up, and I saw Wayne at the beginning. But
Oh,
apart from that, no, I can't see anybody.
Okay, I can see you now, Mike. So, Mike, basically you're releasing me from your proxy, basically, for this vote, yeah?
No, I'll leave you to do you because, as I said you'd vote for me, so do it.
Under the terms of the Constitution.
There's no
that
point
is
me being
permitted,
here
by the way,
because
have
I
to-
can't see anybody,
Okay.
so I can't get involved.
Okay, so in fact, on that basis, we will proceed with, I've got your proxy,
We
so
can-
I'll vote in
we can
accordance
see
with
you,
your
Mike.
wishes. Okay, in that case, moving forward then, I'll launch the poll.
Dave, before you launch it, I'm holding Emily Prince's proxy. How do I do that?
Oh, right, that's a good point, actually. Well, I'll tell you what, you'll have to communicate that to me in that case.
That's fine, I can do that.
Yeah. So if you could just please vote.
Done so already.
Done.
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 are we all meant to say when we're done? Done.
So far I've got 10 votes.
You're popular.
Not for me. I hold proxies for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the moment. So in fact, not everybody has voted by the look of it. Oh, because Wayne, you're not voting anyway,
I'm
are
not
you?
voting, no.
and I'm not because I'm hosting it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a few that. Oh, and then obviously Ian can't vote.
No.
And then
You
you're
should
doing
have
like
4 missing votes, Dave. So you should have 11 votes.
I should have 10. I've only got 10 at the moment.
Well, plus
Oh,
most.
sorry, 11. No, I've got 11. No, hang on. No, I've got 10. I've got 10 votes. I've got a clear majority already, actually. So,
Eurovision Song Contest.
have you all voted?
Richard
Those that
has.
wish to vote.
You need your
Yes.
little gavel to
Yeah.
finish it.
Trevor has.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So basically, I can end the poll now, and I can share the result with you. Okay. So
David Llewellyn,
so-
nil
so-
point.
yeah, I've got nil point because I'm not actually in the group. So I'm now going to share the results with you. So you should now see the results of the poll
Uh-huh.
on your
Comprehensive.
screen. Okay, and you'll see that I can declare that Wayne is duly elected as studio manager. And I would like to especially thank Stuart for standing, actually.
Yeah, well done, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really, obviously, I'm sure you were hoping for a better result, but I'm sure that we can have a chat about that offline and see how we can get you more involved anyway. I'm sure
Okay.
Wayne would concur with that. I can tell you that in terms of the votes which I've got 1 vote to add to Stuart's and 5 votes to add to Wayne's. Okay. So anyway, that clearly is a majority, so we can move on to that and declare that Wayne is duly elected. Right, until we have the next election. And in fact, you'll be in term, Wayne will be in term for, I'm not sure, can't remember who gets standing next time. Actually.
Sorry about that when it happens.
Okay, well, that concludes the formal part of this meeting, really.
Right,
Yeah,
down the pub.
So I wanted to get it over as quickly as possible so that we can actually spend a bit more time discussing things which I know you would be keen to be discussing, particularly things like the return to the studio. So,
Pints of bitter.
So, as I said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand back control to Wayne, since he set it all up originally for me as studio manager. But feel free to ask questions of any of the trustees on their particular things, particularly if you want to talk to Alex about the accounts and where we are financially.
I'm prepared. I have my paperwork.
He's got his paper now. I'm sure he would love to receive your questions. In terms of the governance and everything else, obviously I'm lead on that. Personnel matters, obviously Steve, and Carrie keeps us all in order, or tries to.
I'm just here to look pretty, she says with the camera off.
Okay, so I've lost Wayne now. Where are you, Wayne?
I'm here.
Top.
I'm still here.
Oh, good.
Sitting there in his mastermind chair with his hands curled together like a villain.
Why can't I see you, Wayne?
I have no idea.
I've lost you.
This is Dave, the IT expert, ladies and gentlemen.
There he is. Wayne's there. I can see Wayne.
Oh yes, I can. Yeah, sorry.
He's next to me.
Yes, I just didn't go far enough
There,
that
look.
way. I didn't go that way. Next to me.
It's like
Okay, Wayne,
university
over to you
jump.
then, mate. Thank you. If you could take over, try and keep us back in order.
I can only but try. No, thank you very much, everyone. Right, so we'll go on to the informal part of the meeting now. And as Dave said, this is really your opportunity to ask any of the trustees questions, but also for us to kind of present a few of the little nifty fun bits that obviously we've been working on behind the scenes, but also some information about how we've been performing over the last 12 months. One of the key things for me as studio manager, being responsible for what people hear on the speakers, is how well have we actually been performing to the public. I know a few people like to keep tracks on how the stream is going, how many people are listening to us at any one point, and also a few people like to know how we are doing within the hospital. Are people even still listening to us in the hospital? And heaven forbid, are the Hospidia units even still working in the hospital? Who knows? Well, the good news is that they are working in the hospital, and our stream is doing very, very well. What I can do is I can actually share you some graphs and some figures of our stats and for the stream and also for Hospidia over the last few months. And we did actually, when we was looking at this as a board of trustees a couple of months ago, we did actually have a slight abnormality in what I thought was the figures, and it was the stream stats and the Hospedia stats had reached what I thought was near enough an all-time high. And I will, in a few seconds, if this all loads up in quick time, I will share my screen with you so you can have a look at the data that I have collated. So do bear with me whilst I wait for this to open up.
You might have to explain for Mike if he can't see us, and anybody else that can't see us.
Of course.
I don't know if Mike can hear us at the minute. He's got connected to audio.
I think he said he said during his conversation that it was pointless him being here anyway because he couldn't see.
He's still apparently
Yeah.
there, but he's not actually. His mic's not active and it's not muted. So yeah, it's a bit odd. It looks like he's on video only, but with no video.
Okay, right. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys now.
Okay, this is exciting stuff.
So what you will see is the stream stats for 2021 from April onwards. Now, there's a small reason as to why they only start from April for Hospedia, and that's because the communication between Hospedia and the HBA dissolved a little bit over the course of the pandemic. So we started picking these back up from April 2021, and the streaming stats started from June. Now, the reason why they started from June is because we had broadcast radio stats software installed at our end, which enabled us to actively track how many people are listening over a total listening hours basis over each month, as you can see. And by looking at the information on the screen, you'll see that 2021 for us, it seems to be increasing month on month. There's a few peaks, a few troughs throughout the course of the year, but overall it's going up in the right direction. And you can see, particularly towards the end of the year, the stream and Hospedia, the total listening hours in December particularly, 3,682 on the stream and 3,690. I thought that was quite bizarre to see a high number, well, such a high number for Hospedia, but I wasn't going to complain, because little did I know, if I moved on to 2022, it was going to go up further. 4,429 for Hospedia and 4,277 for the stream. February, we could always expect a small dip in February, just purely because of the number of days it's in February.
Yeah, of course.
I will have the information for March for the stream pretty much instantaneous once the month ends. And then for Hospedia, once the information comes to us from HBA. For those that didn't know, Hospedia has just been brought out by a company called Wi-Fi Spark, who were one of their competitors for patient bedside entertainment systems. Wi-Fi Spark also do a lot of Wi-Fi locations for some big multinational retailers. In fact, they run all of Starbucks in-store Wi-Fi across the whole of Europe. So to actually have a company like that who's taking on patient bedside units and have also brought in Hospedia is, I think, quite exciting. And their plans to roll out a brand new by the bedside unit to all of the trusts in the UK is what they want to do this year. We're on the list to be included in that, hopefully. So we'll see what the trust decide to take, because we're no longer in contract with Hospedia. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress their talks. And I have already kind of had a brief conversation with the digital team here at the Trust, just to let them know that actually there may be somebody from Wi-Fi Smart getting in touch about the patient bedside units, and to keep us in the loop if they decide to enter any conversations, because it's one of our biggest way into the hospital.
Well, definitely. I mean, when you actually look at the stats that we got there, my only concern is, obviously we attended a presentation by Wi-Fi Spark at the HBA conference a few years ago, didn't we? And my only concern is that they carry a lot of content generally on those bedside units, so we would have increased competition, which is not a bad thing, but just be aware that we need to up our game to retain the audience, because obviously there's a very limited audience available or stations available on the current units, and we'll be competing against a lot more, including television.
Definitely.
But you know, hey, a bit of competition is good, and if we provide a first-class service, which is what we're aiming to do, then you know, bring it on, really.
I can share these results with anybody at any time. I can make them available to all the members if they want a copy. That's not a problem. I'll stop sharing the screen now so you can look at my face again, poor buggers. But ultimately, if anybody does want the information about how their shows are performing, how the station's performing as a general, just drop me a line at any time. I'm more than happy to kind of interrogate that data. I can only do it though just for the stream, just so you've got that in your head. So I can't get the actual minute details for Hospedia because it only comes to me as total listening figures. And average users per day for the units, which is.
But you know, that is encouraging that we're actually getting that level of listening hours, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm staggered. It's so high. I mean,
I was absolutely gobsmacked when I saw it, and I thought, well, I'm not talking to myself after all.
Well, yeah, I must admit, when you same thing, we're doing the gold program for 3 days, but you start to think, actually, it's dinner time in the hospital. Is anybody listening, or all
evidently, you know, people
they are.
Yeah, and in fact, I dip in to look at the profile of the audience, you know, certainly on the stream, and it's been building during the day. In fact, in the morning, it's definitely gone up by about 25-30%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We got people listening
pretty well
worldwide
every morning.
What's that, Alex?
We got people listening worldwide as well.
Yeah, we do have a few people that are listening to us from overseas. I mean, I think with the likes of just placing the hospital radio station on different websites like Radio Garden and other like information, people will find you wherever they are in the world.
Yeah.
And there are people who just like to scan different radio stations just because they can and have a little listen. And at the end of the day, we're not gonna say no to them. You know, if they want to listen to them, brilliant. I'll take them all as long as we can get them. But like I said, if anybody wants any of that information, then just particularly for their shows, then do let me know. I'm more than happy to interrogate any of that data.
Right, those are incredibly encouraging figures. How are they reflected in terms of the amount of requests that we get? Because obviously, I know we don't get a huge number anyway, even though we plug it like mad.
Question for everybody. I don't think we're getting very many at all.
So
I'm not seeing
as far as I'm concerned, in terms of requests has been very, very small. I probably received our first request probably in the space of a few months the other day, actually. Somebody sent me an email saying that their dad was on Sandringham unit and he was from a male voice choir up in Hull, or originally was in a male voice choir up in Hull, and he wanted to hear the chorus of the Hebrew slaves. So we played that for him, which was nicely, it was appreciated by his daughter anyway, who sent me the email in.
Oh, good.
We did lose a little bit of request functionality on our main website, and I'll go into the website in a little bit of detail later on as to what happened with it, because you know the website was off for a few weeks, probably / months, but I'll go into that in a little bit of information so you guys are all aware of it. But there is the request form on the broadcast radio player, which is the actual main streaming pop-up that if you click to listen to us online, you can actually request via that. So messages are available to come to the station anyway, and whenever I get a request in either via the website now or via the player, it goes to me or David as first points of contact to be able to then distribute out to the guys who are presenting.
Yeah, which is what we tend to do. So yeah, I must admit we haven't had too many recently, but of course having the website down for the period that it was didn't help. And in fact, I've been publicising it again. I'm sure we all have now.
Well, I was going to ask because obviously during the gold program, if I mentioned the email requests 3 or 4 times, then I'll probably mention it 5 or 6 times. But whether I'm having any effect, it remains to be seen, of course.
Well, I do the same, Richard. So and in fact,
like I said, the one that we had the other day was a direct email to the requests inbox. So that obviously someone did mention requests at hospitalradiolyn.org.uk. So that obviously did work. So that's a nice thing.
And certainly we had one from one of the awards, didn't we, Wayne? I seem to remember recently.
We did. If anyone requests it on the website, I can distinguish between whether it's a website request or whether it's a web player request or whether it's a direct email in. So we can get those. So that's it was quite nice to actually receive a request properly. Shall we say a direct email in for.
Obviously, when we can get back in the studio and get the Star 800 number back up, that's likely to build again.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the stream, and like you say, very encouraging. And just to kind of put it into perspective as to how that compares on a more of a local regional basis, when you look at the fact that Norfolk and Norwich have nearly triple the number of beds that we have. If you'd expect them to have kind of like I'd say you'd expect them to have triple the number of people that are listening. They don't. So
No, they don't. In fact, we're holding our own, aren't we? Yeah.
We are pretty much the standout station between Hospital Radio Norwich and Hospital Radio over at the Paget. So we do very, very well. And I think generally it's probably because over the last couple of years we've adapted very well with getting people onto remote broadcasting, something that I personally think 4 or 5 years ago we would never have been able to have done. So you know, I have to say a massive thanks to all of you guys, because you have been there to really take the bone and run with it, as it were, for want of a better phrase. You know, you've really gone with whatever I've thrown at you, with all the you know, using logs, which again was a little bit of a challenge, and just to running a pretty much near enough full schedule for a whole week. So you know, a massive thank you from me for that. Trevor, you have your hand raised.
His hand up again. Hello, Trevor. Are you receiving us?
I never know how long to leave it before it becomes awkward. I'll lower your hand, Trevor. You can always just speak if you want to say something. But no, honestly, thank you for continuing doing what you're doing. I know I've taken quite a large backward step in my own personal broadcasting, but believe me when I say that what I do behind the scenes does kind of match what you guys are doing on the air.
I think that's been very modest, actually. That's been very modest, Wayne. I mean, without the effort that Wayne and Stuart have put in to keep the system running in the background, you know, we wouldn't be on the air. And there's been many a time where we might not have been, they've managed to intervene rapidly and sort us out. And I think, you know, we'd all agree, those that are streaming, that it's infinitely better service since we've improved our broadband and the tech generally, you know. So, you know, all credit to the tech team, really, and thanks from me personally to both of you.
Oh, right. I am going to allow one of my other fellow trustees to have a little bit of a chat whilst I reconvene myself and think about what on earth I'm going to talk to you about for a little while.
Okay. In which case, I think probably might be useful if we got Alex to just give us a quick thumbnail view of where we are with the accounts and how we're doing, because in fact, as I mentioned earlier, our accounts are in good order, and in fact have actually improved in spite of everything.
In spite of Alex.
But I'd like to actually say, you know, thank you to all of those people who have actually worked to bring funds in. Well, you know. Because we have had some very generous donations over the last year or so as well. Okay.
Right,
over to you. Over to you.
So I'll just summarise last year. It is all on, we've all had the links, but last year we had a total of £5,904.27 in terms of income, which was up £2,363.66 on 2020. So not bad considering we didn't do much fundraising last year either. A lot of our income did come from gift aid, so thank you if you did fill in the gift aid form, and if you haven't, or if you're not eligible, please get in touch with me, because we raised almost £1,500 last year from gift aid. Yes, we're now having to do a tax return for that, but the cost of that is about 100 quid, 140 quid anyway, which obviously the gift aid we're getting in is going to more than cover that. Currently, it's outstanding. We've got £1,000 worth of donations, membership fees, which we haven't claimed gift aid on, which we could do. So, like I say, if you haven't filled in the form, please fill it in, or if you're not eligible, let me know. Trevor, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but thank you for your birthday fundraiser, and also to Dave, to Steve, and Dave's mum. Between them in 2021, they donated over £2,000 to us. So thank you.
Well done. Wonderful.
Yeah, my mum's been very generous.
In terms of outgoings, we spent £5,294.69, which is up £1,455.51 on 2020. But then we've now got better broadband, we've got more broadcast radio systems, but we still finished the year, when I find it somewhere, £609.58 up. So we took in £609.58 more than we spent. So we ended the year.
So we actually made money.
We made money in 2021 despite spending quite a lot. We also got new equipment. So we got some new equipment. So Wayne could do some recording with Caroline, and yes, yeah, I do know. So yeah, we finished the year on £8,015.49 in our bank. And so far this year, we've now in our bank balance as of a couple of days ago when I did this, we've actually £19.26 up this year. So at the moment, we've got £8,034.75. So we're doing rather well despite having very limited fundraising. But yeah, gift aid, please get in touch with me about gift aid, because we've got a lot of money we can still claim.
I mean, obviously, we have, as Alex said, we've spent a lot of money on investing in software in particular with broadcast radio on a license basis where we're paying monthly, and also on hardware. And we will continue to look at what we currently got in our network structure. We want to put some more resilience into the system, which I'm going to discuss with the guys. So there will be some more expense, but we've got the funds to do that. Okay, because I'm very aware of the fact that we have got a single point of failure at the moment, so which we do need to attack. Okay,
but the money was well worth it, because I wasn't a fan of voice tracking before. I think we all agree if you had more than one person on there, it didn't work very well. And now,
never a problem. It's beautiful now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
I could normally tell if Alex came on, because I was working away and it just plummeted to the floor, and I thought Alex has come on or somebody else has come on. And Wayne, you were on it like a shot and told me, yeah, so and so's on. But none of those problems now. Since it's all been upgraded, it's been fantastic. It really is smooth operation now.
Well, sometimes I notice,
and what's more, we save money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I notice I'm recording now, and then I go back to see Stuart's recorded and you've recorded, Richard. So all three of us must have been on there at once, and it's fine. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
So any questions for Alex, folks? Because we don't want to talk at you. We'd like to hear from you.
No, just keep doing what you're doing.
Quick question?
Go ahead. Sorry,
Richard. Can you just confirm for me again the number that we're up over with spending? So we've got the outgoings. How much is that an increase?
What, for last year?
Yes, please.
£609.58.
Yeah, you said outgoings.
Outgoings, we spent £5,294.69.
And that is up from last year.
£1,455.51. So that's 2021 versus 2020.
Perfect. Thank you. I have numerical dyslexia. Numbers don't always work for me. Thank you. I shall shut up now.
That's all right. So any more questions for Alex? Have you collected your thoughts, or do you want me to say a few words?
No, I mean, I was going to mention the website.
Yes, give us tell us the story.
Give you an update on how things are with our website. So you'll notice if you did go onto the site a few months back or a couple of weeks ago, that it was saying, sorry, our website's not available, or we'll be back soon. We're rebuilding something. I accidentally inadvertently deleted our website. which caused me quite a lot of grief and horror when I realised
so glad he did it and I didn't.
Once I accidentally pressed delete, there was no way of getting it back. So yeah, I had to basically rebuild the website from scratch, which wasn't great. So it took a few weeks to do, but I think now we have a much better website. The copy on the website, you can actually read. It doesn't look very small at all. And I think it's just easier to navigate, very clear how to listen to the station, quite clear how to access requests, how to fill in the form, which makes it better for the people who do want to get in touch with the station. There are some things that I'll be putting up on the website in the next few weeks, such as things like the minutes that relate to the meetings, and also some more historical information. I did actually put a kind of a timeline of events of the station, which is now sits under charity, and there's a part that says our history or something, or our heritage, or I can't remember what the page is, but it says a history of hospital radio from 1972 to basically the present day. And we'll be able to build on that, obviously referencing the pandemic, and as we creep up to our 50th anniversary in 2024, which is only 2 years away. So there we go, hopefully some big plans to consider. So well, I'll be interested to get people's thoughts on that as we do approach that magical number. That would be quite nice, I'm sure. But we do also have a few things just to kind of whet your appetite a little bit, of some plans that I have in my head, or I've not told any of the trustees this at the moment. So this is hot off the press. So the kind of stuff that I would like us to consider doing is some special broadcasts around the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And also some more stuff that relates to the hospital and getting people back to where they belong, which is in their homes. I often think it's quite easy to sit there and say that this song was played and this song is coming up next, but I think what we want to be trying to do is getting people to be asking those questions again, like, when am I actually going to be going home? How can I get in touch with a relative? Has my relative even got in touch? Those kind of questions that we want to be kind of instilling on our audience that's listening to us. And great that we have an outside listenership of people that are listening to us outside of the hospital, but ultimately what we are here for is for the patients that are in their beds, who are, you know, obviously not very well. So if we can be asking those kind of questions, you know, and not everyone do. I don't think we want to sound like a broken record by saying the same thing every hour. You know, have you asked when I can go home? It's just drop it in here and now, just to kind of, you know, instill that message that, you know, if you are able to be at home, maybe being at home is the best place for you to be. They were saying on a call yesterday, we had a trust briefing which basically said that, you know, people who are patients who are able to go to the smoking shelters, you know, if they can get up and actually go and have a cigarette outside the trust, do they actually really need to be here if they're able to move? You know, they're taking bed space up.
Sure.
That's one question that we're having to think about at the moment, because we do have a significant number of people that do have COVID at the moment who are in the hospital, and we only have a limited number of beds. We have 476 beds in the hospital.
A quarter of which you got COVID patients in.
Well, it's over a quarter.
Yeah,
so
it was 120, wasn't it? Like,
it was 120. It's creeping up to about 150 now. So
is it really? That's since last week.
It is a high number.
Yeah, it is a high number. I mean, it's on the up, so we've got to be on our guard. On that note, Wayne, obviously we've had discussions with the Volunteer Services Department and returning to the studio, so it might just be worth just giving us an update as to where you see that now.
Definitely. So as far as we're concerned, as an organisation and kind of joint working with Josh Pearce, who is Voluntary Services Manager, there is absolutely no problem with us returning back to the studio. So that's quite exciting. I know there's a few people who do want to return back to, who want to come back to doing live broadcasting within the four walls and getting back to fiddling the knobs on the mixers and whatever. You know, more than happy for people to do that. I've just got a quick little whip round the Hoover, which will probably be my job over the next few days, just to make it a little bit more presentable. Because I'm sure you can imagine that over the last couple of years, whilst there's been nobody here on regular cleaning duties, it's looking a little bit dirt treading on the carpets and whatever. So I'll give it a little bit of a whip round just to make sure it's a bit presentable. We are liaising with the domestic services team to have the studio complex cleaned on a regular basis for us, because ultimately the building does belong to the trust. We do lease it, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be cleaning the building for us as well, considering they do the downstairs classrooms. So we're having discussions. I know Josh is leading discussions with the domestic services team about how we can make that happen. There are some further developments you'll know around estate building works. You may have seen that we actually do have a whopping great big 100 space car park, which is next to our front door. That is currently in construction. Dave does have a funny story to tell about that. I'll hand over the mic back to Dave and he can let you know how he got locked in by the builders.
Yes, I had a meeting on site with Wayne and Josh actually, and I turned, because I was having a hospital appointment, I finished early and I went into the studio ahead of the meeting, because I think we were meeting at 10 and I got there about 9:30. And yeah, there was some building work going, and there's a security fence up, and I managed to get past it and in the door, you know, and I thought nothing of it. They didn't turn up, and I thought, what the hell was going on? And Wayne rings me saying, are you actually in the studio? Because there's a barricade up. And they'd actually locked me in. And I opened the door, and there's a bloke with a digger right outside the door. Anyway, they managed to let me out. So, but yeah, I mean, I actually got locked in the studio. It could only happen to me, couldn't it?
But when Dave's got it out, we're going to have a car park right outside the door.
But yeah, it is. I mean, if you actually, there's some pictures actually on the Twitter feed. Actually, I think.
Will we be able to use that?
Yeah, so there's 22 initial spaces which are apparently going to be reserved for premium spaces and consultants. That's predominantly for the Emerson unit that is obviously recently just opened. But the rest of the spaces will be available for staff and the public as well. So yes, you will be able to use it. And it just makes it very, very convenient, because you literally just have to cross over a little wooden fence just to get into the front door. So yeah.
They've also built a nice little driveway for us now, haven't they? So those uneven paving stones have gone, haven't they?
They have. Yes, they have. Yeah. We do have a nice little gravel entrance now, which is much nicer. Yeah. So,
I mean, Kevin showed me some pictures that he'd taken a week or so ago, and the transformation was phenomenal, because all those trees have gone.
It's all gone. Yeah, I mean, I got quite a shock when I turned up.
Yeah, I was staggered. All the trees are gone. The fence is gone.
I rang Dave. I think Dave, I rang you on a Thursday, didn't I? I said, you know, all the trees around the studio, they've gone, and I didn't know anything about it. And, I was quite bemused, because when Dave got locked in, I actually contacted the director of estates and said, you know, why the hell haven't you let us know? You know, we've effectively been blocked out of our studio, which we need access to. Yeah. Why haven't you let us know this is going to happen? And they said, well, it's going to be out 3-4 weeks. And I said, well, you could have just let us know you were going to do it. And quite coincidentally, you know, our chairman got locked in, which is a health and safety issue.
It certainly was.
Funny,
especially with the man on a digger singing to himself, so he couldn't hear me banging on the door.
Have we heard anything about car parking passes yet?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of brings us on to the whole situation with membership and the trust, I think, doesn't it, Wayne?
It does, yeah. I'll let you have that discussion, Dave, as chair.
Okay, so basically, as you know, we've been engineering it so that basically we're encouraging all members to become trust volunteers, because you get added benefits like car parking and everything else. Plus, obviously, the benefits we've enjoyed with the COVID jabs, for example. There's lots of benefits. One of the things which, talking to Josh about returning back to a more normal service, it will be a requirement that you are a trust volunteer to actually go into the hospital. Okay, so we're not at that stage yet, and that's a movable thing given the infection rate actually in the hospital at the moment, Wayne, I would imagine. When we spoke to him, you know, a couple of weeks ago, that was the situation. As you know, we said to members that if you wanted to be a studio-based member, you had to be a member of the trust, because that way we can guarantee your health and safety more than anything else, because of the protocols that the trust have put in place in terms of infection control, health and safety. It protects us and you, more importantly. One of the things which people may have been concerned about is things like the occupational health things, and that's largely to protect you as members, not the hospital. Okay, so I know that not everybody has so far become a trust volunteer, but I would strongly recommend that if you're planning to come back into the studio at all, that you must do that. Okay. I know that a lot of you already have gone through the mandatory training and all that kind of stuff. One of the things which we are also talking to the trust about is reissuing or revising the memorandum of understanding that we had with them, whereby our volunteers have to have a level of training anyway. Okay, so there will be certain things which we did implement under the old charity, which was information governance and health and safety and things like that. It's as much for the organisation's protection as anything else that we will be going down that route. Okay. So any questions on that you want to ask me? I mean, it is still under discussion with the trust at the moment, but that's really our we made this public to you, a couple of years ago, in fact. So it shouldn't come as any great surprise.
How do you know if you're already? I don't think I am one. How do I become one from here on?
Basically, we can for those of you that wish to go down that route, and I strongly urge that you do, all you have to do is we'll send out the links again, Wayne. We can do that, can't we?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so basically you just have to fill out the trust,
you
just have to fill out the trust volunteer form and a couple of other things, and that's it. And we've got a special exemption to not need to answer some of the occupational health questions because of the nature of what we're doing.
Things like vaccination history is one of the things
you don't need to do any of
information on.
So and if you need guidance, I mean, either Josh, Volunteer Services, or Wayne and myself will be able to help you with that one.
Definitely. I also just want to add that I know, and I'll just shout Trevor out here that Trevor was a little bit concerned about filling in occupational health information. It really, like Dave said, it really is to protect you, because what they will do is if you do have any underlying medical conditions, it's worth putting it down, because all they will just simply say is you can't do X, Y, and Z, as in, if you do have things like asthma, or if you do have whatever, they'll say you can't go around this ward because it's a red ward, or you can't go around this ward.
It is very much.
It's pretty much along that level of detail. They know the job description of a hospital radio volunteer. So they will not exempt anyone, or they will not say you cannot be a hospital radio volunteer. It's really just to say, because you've got this, you can't do this, and it will just purely be you can't enter this ward because it's a red zone. But at the moment, we're not going to be entertaining going around the wards purely because it's COVID. We don't want anybody to go around the wards and bringing it back and spreading it like wildfire. We know.
And of course, the other thing, Wayne, is if you want to retain your NHS badge, you have to be a trust volunteer. Okay. So if you're not going to be a trust volunteer, you've got to return your badge, basically. That's great. And we'll look at alternatives.
Can I have the link sent to me then? So
I'll make sure I'll send it across to you, Liam. Yeah,
thank you. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, we sent this out a couple of years ago, so no doubt lots of people have lost it. So one action point then will be to remind people. Okay. Harry, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, it is deliberate. I'm not doing a Trevor. If we are back in the studio, then I know we can't go around the wards, but would the phones be connected to enable people to phone in to make requests? Would that be a possibility for
absolutely? The connection in from the Hospidia units to the studio have never been taken away. One of the things that we have done over the last year is we've actually reduced the numbers that we have, because we used to have 3, 4, 5, 4 and 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we dropped 3, 4, 5, 6. Get this right. I just remember which one we dropped. So we only now have 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 4, which was the one that was actually connected to the studio, which meant we didn't have to do any tinkering around with Hospidia anyway. So we only have the one phone number externally now, or it's *800 if you're in a patient bed.
It is connected to the voicemail, though, isn't it?
It's still connected to the voicemail, yeah. So if you don't manage to answer it, or there's no one here, it does go straight through to the voicemail, which I believe it's still Richard Tree who answers.
Probably recorded about 30 years ago, that was.
It's not a Christmas one, is it, Richard?
Okay, so any questions on that aspect of membership?
Yeah, only point I made personally, sounds like I'm not the only one, is when those forms were first sent out, I opened them and thought, oh my God, they're asking so much information and it seems so complicated and so many forms. I basically said, I'll wait. But it appears a lot of those forms questions I don't need to answer anyway.
Certainly on the occupational health form, no,
Yeah.
you don't. And the other bit, we require all members to fill out anyway. You know, it's much the same
Yeah.
sort of thing. You then just have to give an undertaking to abide by the rules. And of course, the one thing that we've got to do is the mandatory training, but that isn't the full 11 modules. It's only 5, I think, isn't it?
I think that frightened me as well.
It's
I mean,
Take
really
as long
not
as it
difficult.
says.
Yeah,
It's
it's mostly common sense. It took about, I did all of them, the ones I didn't have to, and it took me about half an hour in total.
All right. Yeah.
And it's all online now, so you don't have to give up the day and a half like Steve and I did, and various other members where we had to physically be on site. It's worth also mentioning that the Trust are looking to trial an alternative method of volunteer applications, which will be across the whole of the Norfolk and Waveney Trust group, which means if you're a volunteer at QE, you could also be a volunteer at one of the other hospitals like Norfolk and Norwich. Now that's being trialled at the moment, and I think there was a trial very recently actually, or is about to be, isn't there, Wayne?
Yeah.
So
If you do get weekly emails from Josh, if you're already a full Trust volunteer, then you should get those weekly emails from Josh, which basically highlighted all of the information.
yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Obviously, if you want to stay up to date with what's going on actually in the hospital, obviously as a Trust volunteer, you do get the weekly update from Josh.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting and informative. And in fact, it's worth also mentioning that there's a monthly volunteers Teams meeting. There was one yesterday, and there's so it's different days of the week throughout each month. I've attended a few. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to attend the last couple, but it is interesting, and they do have some interesting input from various specialists and departments. They had Emma Harrison on yesterday, didn't they, Wayne? Yeah, who's a patient experience lead, I think, or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on volunteers and
Max has
Trust?
a question.
Max.
Max,
Just to just to quickly touch back on the studio, then. Obviously, I think it broke up a little bit when you was talking about it. Have we got an exact date to return to the studio, or?
So the actual date, Max, is any time that you want. Really, there's no official date to return. What I would just say is that what I've got to do is just whip the Hoover around, just to make sure it's presentable. Because as I'm sure everyone can appreciate, over the last 2 years, there's not been any weekly cleans, and it's probably just been my muddy footprints as I've been wandering in and out. So I would probably say if you want to return Friday, crew, not this week, but perhaps from next week would be absolutely fine.
The fobs will still work, will they?
Obviously, it's going to be a bit longer for me at the moment.
Of course, yeah.
Well, the fobs, because I know they used to, after a while, those fobs went out of date, didn't they? You know, I guess.
No,
Fobs should work. They're obviously, well, as far as I'm aware, they should work. I've got everybody who's still listed as one of the fob holders as they were, and the alarms engineered every year to make sure everything's all hunky-dory. So I've not been made aware of any problems. So I guess it's one of the things. See what happens.
Certainly mine's working. So
yeah,
there's no reason to assume
if you're not sure and you want to try your fob out, and I mean, feel free to pop down to the studio. I can be available if it doesn't work to deactivate the alarms anyway. So that's not a problem.
Yeah,
So are we saying, Wayne, that we need to have been signed up to be a member of the Trust before we come back? So we can come back from next week, but we need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And car parking then, have we got any passes?
So again, if you are a full Trust volunteer, you will have a car parking pass.
Got one.
You haven't yet, Alex. So we'll pick this up after the call. But that is one of the benefits of being a full Trust volunteer, is that you will have a car parking pass for yourself. We will have the visitor car parking passes available for people to use, but again, they will be the standard 4 p.m. or from 4 p.m. times. And parking is in the gravel car park, which was, you know, where the 5 clinical psychology spaces were, where we always used to park. They don't exist anymore because that's the entrance to the gravel car park.
Okay.
So you go into the gravel car park now and you park in the gravel car park, please.
Although you will be able to park in the new one, presumably, when it's.
Oh yeah, no, when the new one's open, yes.
Yeah. But at the moment, yeah, the gravel car park, that's where I parked last time I went.
But am I right in thinking for the volunteers, we are getting a better car park ticket so that it can be used sort of 24 hours a day now?
If you
Yes.
are a full trust volunteer, your car parking permit will be a 24/7 permit.
And that's in the main car park as well.
That will be every staff car park.
In the staff part of it.
Yeah,
is it?
obviously you've got to park in staff only
Yeah, which I think-
spaces. So in the main
yeah.
car park, you've got to avoid the public ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the white
White
line.
bays, not blues. Yeah.
White bays, yeah.
Yeah, not the blue bays. Okay.
Good.
Anything else on that? Okay. Well, we've talked a lot to you. I mean, the other thing which we really want to hear from you is your plans for the future and where you want to go. We've got some ideas, haven't we, Wayne?
We certainly have. One of the things that we're talking about in trustee board meetings at the moment is what our short-term and also our long-term strategy is likely to be. One of the things that I'm quite keen on, and I know we've been talking about this for quite a number of years now, actually, and sadly this hasn't progressed, but I think that's just because of the nature of the pandemic, is actually getting the output of the radio station in more public waiting areas of the hospital. Josh is going to open up conversations with the Director of Estates and Facilities to see about whether bizarrely, they would actually explore purchasing a PPL license for the whole trust. And I think when me and Dave met up with him, we explained that could actually cost him tens of thousands of pounds. That it was like, maybe not. But that we are having conversations about how we can get more departments to switch over to us, because if they're listening to the likes of Radio 1 in a waiting area, I think the questions need to be asked, is that actually appropriate for patients that are listening there, who might actually be in a bit of pain, who probably just want to be at home in their familiar surroundings, and actually we can provide that kind of music that they might be interested in. I'm not dissing Radio 1 at all. I like Radio 1, but you know, we have to think, is it appropriate?
Do they does Costa and the Shop, do they play any music?
No.
No, they don't.
They won't have a license then.
No. So I mean, it's in the area. I mean, certainly in the meetings I've had with the trust, you know, they're keen to explore the possibility of utilising our service to provide patient information. You know, because that's one thing that differentiates us from any other radio station. If you're sitting in hospital, it'd be useful to have information broadcast to you about what might be going on in the hospital. And certainly we should be looking with our external coverage as well. We should be looking at providing information to people coming to and from the hospital in terms of problems that they might encounter with for example, like the resurfacing that was out the front at the hospital, and the building work that's going on, significant building work. Those
and
of
the
you
risk
haven't
of getting
been
locked in buildings as well.
Yes, people getting locked in buildings. But I mean, that's when they tell us, of course. Because those of you who haven't actually been on site will be amazed at what is going on there. The buildings are going up around your ears, basically, aren't they, Wayne?
They are.
The new unit that's gone up opposite the Inspire Centre is incredible. That's just grown. In fact, I saw it being craned in, but I mean, when I saw it in the flesh, wow, it's incredible. But there's building work all over the place going on. In fact, as you will have seen if you read any of the stuff on social, the number of props has increased, I think, around the hospital, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's 470 props now within the hospital.
Holding the roof up.
A lot of people were a bit concerned that actually, you know, 200 of those just sprung up out of nowhere. But the reason why that happened, just so you are all aware, is that 200 odd wooden props were put up down the estate's ramp, and that's purely because that is the main escape route for patients who are on the first floor to then get them out of the hospital.
Of course.
So by putting those wooden props up, it actually meant that, you know, we knew that that particular part of the hospital had a fail-safe that was already in place. There was never going to be any concerns. It's there from day dot. So that's why it went up to 470 props.
Okay, so in terms of our plans, you know, we're saying that we want to widen the service and make it more relevant. you know, one of the points of difference with other online streaming local radio stations, which I won't mention by name, and ours, you know, we have got a point of difference, and I think it's something that we ought to be concentrating on and providing something which other stations do not provide. You know, we don't want to be a clone of any other local commercial radio station. And certainly, I'm very keen to widen the field into social care as well, and GP surgeries and all of those kinds of places. So, you know, but to get that going, we need your help to get out and about and you know, do some work actually on the ground. But you know, that's some of the things I'm thinking of. So it's over to you guys to throw some stuff at us, I think.
Many years ago, before I worked for the EDP, I used to work for a company that doesn't exist now. They were based in St Albans, and they were called Focus Television. And you may remember that there was a network of screens in the main waiting areas of the hospital.
Yeah, I do.
That we provided. I mean, that was my job. I was selling that local advertising on that, so people had a captive audience to advertise to. But of course, the hospital waiting room staff had access via a PC, which we provided for them, to put waiting times and up-to-date patient information and so on. So it was like a visual program, really. So I mean, that was many years ago, and it's long. The company's long folded anyway, and they had it in a whole range of hospitals up and down the UK. So I totally agree that, although I mean that was a long time ago, but the need is obviously still there. So if we can provide not just music, but also, as you say, hospital information, waiting times, up-to-date information, like so-and-so, there's been a little incident outside the front gate and the front door's now closed for the next 25 minutes, but patients can go via this way or something like that, that we can provide that immediacy and that up-to-date information via our systems. That's only got to be a positive step forward, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I know that Wayne and I are frequently going on about the fact that the hospital don't use our service to publicise things they want publicised. You know, they forget us very often. You know, they've got their own blooming radio station, and if there's a campaign running for, you know, flu jabs or whatever, you know, we're the obvious choice, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, especially if we can widen our audience to the wider West Norfolk community, which is really where we want to go.
And I think this is the problem is that because we don't have currently at the moment, and this is something that we have to work on over the very immediate short term, is that we don't have a great external relationship base to work from. We know who the key contacts are within the hospital. We know that I work in the comms team at the hospital. So whilst I do have the immediate shoe in the door to get messages into the station, and granted, I do nag my bosses whenever we want to launch a campaign or something like that and say, well, actually, why don't you think of us? You know, we're here. I think they get a bit annoyed that I keep mentioning it, but I say, look, we're here for a reason, so use us. It's quite surprising when you think about, or when I sit there and I think, well, actually, how do the other radio stations get the content from the trust? Well, they actively ask them. They're effectively bidding for interviews all the time. So if they want to have an interview with Caroline, if they want to have an interview with Denise Smith, if they want to have an interview with somebody else, they will phone up and say, is anybody available to talk about that? Whilst I would love to be able to say, can I have a slot for a hospital radio volunteer to interview somebody? I don't have that time, unfortunately. So I would have to throw it open to you guys, the people that run your own shows. If you want to interview somebody from the trust, you can do. There's nothing to stop you. The only thing you have to do is just put the request in with the communications team, and then they can sort it for you. Liam, you have your hand up again.
I do. Hi. I've spoken to, I'm terrible with names. I think, is it Laura?
Yes.
Scaife, is that right?
Yeah, Laura Scaife.
Have I made any of that up? Is that all real?
No, it's all real.
Wonderful. I've spoken to her a couple of times over the last year or so, because I spent some time in the hospital. And I spoke to her a couple of times about good things and bad things. And she said she'd happily come and chat to me pretty much whenever she got a chance to, when we were all back up and running, and the hospital wasn't as manic as it had been at the time, obviously. So she said she'd happily come in and just just not even just on like official stuff. She'd happily just come in for a general chat, just to be in the studio every now and then when she can, obviously, which I think was nice.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a good relationship, haven't we? And both with Laura and Caroline, of course, and loads of other people. And certainly, you know, it's something which I'm very keen to build on. Like Wayne, I wish I could devote more time because I've got my own full-time business I'm still running. But, you know, this is an ideal opportunity for those of you that want to expand your broadcasting skills into talking to people on air, recording interviews. You know, it's there. We're giving you the opportunity, and we want to see content, don't we, Wayne? Definitely. You know, we're not just going to be playing radio jukebox type stuff. You know, we really want to put stuff in to our programming which is interesting and relevant.
And I think that's the key word, is it's relevancy, isn't it? You know, what is relevant to what's happening in people's lived experience right here, right now. You know, the Trust is actively saying, you know, when you come into the hospital, please make sure that you're wearing a face mask. Are we reminding people that actually, you know, if you see someone who's not wearing a face mask, just say, you know, pop it on.
Yeah, I mean, particularly at the moment where, you know, rates are on the up again, you know, so just because we've all been jabbed doesn't mean to say it's gone away. It's certainly coming back massively in this area particularly, and well, throughout the whole country. So, and remember to wash your hands and all of those sort of things, you know, it's the more the message goes out, the better, really. Plus, the other thing which I'm very keen to explore is where there are national campaigns about particular conditions which are being highlighted. We do carry stuff on that. It might well be worth talking to a clinical specialist on that subject, just a brief sort of 5 minutes potted review of what's going on within our local trust. You know, but that requires time and effort. I would love to have a go, and I will do, but you know, I need, well, we need your help, really, because I want to make this station move forward. I know we all do as trustees. You know, because of the pandemic, our plans have been somewhat frustrated, which is extremely annoying, but we're on the verge of getting back into the studio in some shape or form, and we can use that opportunity to talk to people, gather interviews, all that kind of stuff. You know, we're on site, so just have a think about that is really what I'm saying. Yeah. Anything back from you lot? Come on, we've talked rather a lot.
We're all radio presenters. We talk.
Oh no, this is the quietest a lot of them have ever been. I've never known them to be so quiet.
I'm actually staggered. So is there anything you'd like to, is there anything you would particularly like to see happen on the station that we could, which is within our control in terms of technology or whatever, programming? Is there anything that you've got any views on for that?
Can I ask about going back to the studio? Has the mixer been tested or anything? Does that still work? Or
yeah, it still works.
Yeah.
I think we'll all need a bit of refresher training on it. Because,
I think more than from my own point of view, I was only thinking that myself. I can't even turn the blooming thing on.
When I went back, when we had them couple of months between lockdowns, when I went back before, the system had changed how you went from Myriad to the studio. Yes. So that's obviously different.
I think we'll all need a refresher, Wayne, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a complete flip around, because when we were first told that we could now do it from home, a lot of us, me included, you know, were frankly terrified about doing it from home, and I was as nervous as hell the first time I did it, you know. But it's now gone totally the opposite way around. I'm happy as Larry doing voice tracking, because I obviously do it for both radio stations, as you know. And it actually, the thought of going live, actually really live, frankly terrifies me now. So
I know what you mean.
It's gone around the 180 degrees, isn't it?
I think the big difference, though, Richard, I was thinking about this the other day, is that obviously we're doing voice tracking at the moment, but live assist, where you're dropping stuff in and putting pauses in, is not that dissimilar. You know, at least you're using the same tech in terms of Myriad. You know, you just got to remember to put stops in and things like that, obviously.
But you haven't got to be live, have you? You could do it.
No, you don't have to be live at all. No, you don't have to be
No.
live at all. You can voice track it there, in fact. You know, but you know, obviously the big advantage, as we said earlier on, is if we can get live content via Star 800, for example, actually, and so that you've got some patient interaction, because that's the one thing I'm sure all of us miss. I certainly do. That if I'm doing a request show, it's nice to actually know that I'm playing a song that somebody wants to listen to. Yeah, and that's the one thing I really miss, you know, above anything else. And we did get quite a few phone calls.
Yeah.
You know,
have we still got the text number, or has that one gone offline now? Because
I will have to check that, because I know O2 are sometimes a little bit funny, that if you haven't used the phone,
probably been discontinued again.
probably have been disconnected by now.
I should think so. They did it to us once before.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll explore that. So leave that one with me.
Okay. Anything else that anybody wants to raise?
The only thing is, with returning to the studio, we've got to be still so careful about COVID.
Yes.
We all want to return to the studio. We all want to sort of have a party, if you like, in the studios. You know, well, not in the studio, because we're not allowed to take cake in the studio, are we?
No.
But in the crew room and things like that, you know, a bit of a get together, because we haven't seen everybody for the last 2 years, and everybody is getting stale. We do all want to meet up, but vulnerable people and non-vulnerable people are still getting COVID, you know, in a nasty way sometimes, such as Richard, one of our guys at work, whose name is also Richard. You know, he's had a heck of a cough for absolutely ages afterwards, gasping for breath when he had it and things like that. We've got to still take it seriously.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I mean, one thing which Wayne, I know there are still requirements in the trust to wear protective equipment, face masks, and sanitizing your hands, and that will be the case in the studio as well. Unless you're actually speaking on the mic, we expect people to wear face masks.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because it's as much for everybody's protection, because the last thing we want is an outbreak actually in the studio if we go back in.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it would mean, even though, well, you take your mic off to speak, if you take your mask off to speak into the mic, I would assume at the end of the program you need to, like we were before, is disinfect the studio as well.
Absolutely, yeah, we've got the 10L wipes and everything else,
yeah,
haven't we, Wayne? But we will be, once we've actually opened up properly, Wayne will be putting in place the protocols that you need to follow.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have been actively exploring, and just to kind of put people's mind at rest, because I know I said to you, Dave, in our meeting with Josh about people sharing the microphone muffs, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
You know, I was also a little bit concerned about whether that's IPC friendly. It probably isn't. So I am actively looking at seeing if we can get everyone an individual microphone shield as well. So bear with me on that. I'll have a little bit more information.
There's also the question of headphones as well, isn't there, Wayne?
We were cleaning them before.
Yeah, we were cleaning those. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I mean, all I can do is point out my own situation that I got joined. I joined the King's Lynn Players because they were desperate for an old man to play a small role, and I went to about 5 or 6 rehearsals in various places in the churches and so on, and didn't give it a second thought. We were all rehearsing it, and it was so nice to actually be back and rehearsing a show. And then a couple of people got it, and then a couple more got it, and then there were suddenly, and I'm also rehearsing for a passion play at Binham Priory, and members of that cast started dropping off, and they were old. I thought I was old at 69. I'm one of the youngest members of that cast. So yeah, a lot of them are extremely vulnerable, and we were surprised and staggered, especially within Lynn Players, that the cast were dropping like flies. And you wouldn't believe how quickly it went through the cast. You know, most of them have had it to a lesser degree than me, but as we all say, it's still out there. It really is.
It absolutely is still out there, and I want to just make it clear that there is absolutely no obligation for anyone to come back to the studio if they don't want to. You know, there is absolutely no force from me to say you've got to be back in the studio. If you want to continue broadcasting from home, we're not going to pull Myriad anywhere off the plug straight away. You know, we're tied into it for at least another 12 months. I haven't told the trustees.
And I mean, I'm assuming that, you know, I'm not going to preempt it, but I'm assuming that we will continue to have that service.
I can't see why we would get rid of it, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, if we did lose it, then it would be a long commute for Ian. You know, maybe at least 3 hours for him to travel from Oxford every week and back.
And I know there's a lot of people who've expressed desire not to actually return.
What's that, Steve?
Sorry, and Ian is a very valid member.
He is
of Hospital Radio Lynn. You know, as is a few of the others. That
watch out! He's just unmuted his microphone. I think
yes,
it's War and Peace then.
Good.
I was going to say thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be doing the show.
Well, we're very welcome to, very pleased that we got you, Ian.
One thing what I would say is his promo, what he does. Did you actually record that in your toilet, Ian?
Oh, I like that one.
No, do you know what? I recorded that one at the hospital radio station here. Many, I don't know, maybe must have been a couple of years ago, but I've noticed in my promo, I get one of the lines wrong. So I actually just need to re-record it anyway.
What line do you get wrong?
I think I say, it's something around staying in or going out. I forget which bit I got wrong. But
you say staying out or going in or something?
So something like that. But nobody noticed.
I noticed. I thought it was a joke. I thought that's why you're saying it.
Well, it's quite apt for a hospital environment, though, isn't it? Because you want to stay out, you don't want to go in, do you? So it's quite apt. So it's fine.
Maybe I'll record on going. Don't stay in, get out.
Exactly.
Listen to party anthems.
Okay. Any more for any more?
Any more for any more? Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick on the events front.
Yes.
Some people may or may not be aware. Obviously, the kite fall is off again for the third year.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not COVID related this time. Apparently, the venues of Wagge, I think they're having a lot of refurbishments to Smithton High School.
Yeah.
So obviously, that's not on. The second thing is, I do think Mr. Grayson has been in touch. He's contacted us looking for us to do a PA for the Queen's celebration market, and that'll be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of June. Apparently, he can get us a donation which costs around £2,000.
Where's that for, Max? Did you say?
That's in Burnham Markets. So the only thing to bear in mind, they're not sure whether there's going to be any security laid on. If there's not, there's going to be an awful lot of work involved setting up the area back away every day. So if that's something that you're interested in, obviously we're going to need quite a big team behind us because it's obviously unfair for one person or thing.
Yeah.
Just to feel us out, just to see people really.
I think a lot of us lost probably 50% of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's very bad feed. Probably worth picking that up offline, actually, Max, I think. But yeah, I would, if there's an opportunity, we'd need to look at it, definitely.
Might be an idea.
Pop it in an email, Max.
Yeah, drop us an email. That'll probably be the best thing, Max. Yeah, definitely.
Sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the date again, Max?
Right, any more for any more?
2nd, 3rd. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of June.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th of June. Okay.
Okay.
And that's actually just thinking. That's the bank holiday weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
That all ties around the Platinum Jubilee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, isn't it?
For Burnham Market, yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, if you drop us an email, Max, with the details.
Yeah,
I think we're losing.
That's fine.
Cool. Awesome. Right. Any final call then for any more?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's been great to see you all. I look forward to seeing you all in the flesh, as it were, next time, hopefully. And, come up with some great ideas for program content.
You won't ever get a no from me. I promise.
So all I want to say is thank you very much for everything you've all done this year, and here's to the coming year and even better.
One thing, would it still be worth or Alex putting the bank details out again, because I think a few people have missed the sort code and the account number, to pay the membership fees.
Oh yes, if you haven't paid your subs, we would, although we've got plenty of money, we need plenty more because we've got some ambitious plans. Wayne wants to spend even more.
Wayne spends so much
I
money.
know. I said to Dave yesterday, Alex, I said, I want to spend some more money.
But in all seriousness, though, we do need backup money, or we need the money. Say if a mixer goes down.
Yeah, we do. I mean, and like I said, we want to put more resilience into the system as well. So yeah, just because we're doing okay, we could do better. Okay, well, thank you very much. That's enough from me.
One other thing. Stuart was good enough to put himself forward.
Yes, and once again, thank you to Stuart,
studio manager, to get the vote. But is it possible to have Stuart on the committee just as a normal member?
Well, what I was going to say, we'll discuss that, but I would like to get Stuart actively involved because, obviously he's shown an interest. I know that he's doing a great deal of work behind the scenes for us, and I'd like to recognise that, and I'd like to thank him particularly, and thank you, Stuart, for standing.
Okay.
It was somebody had to do it, and well done. I'm glad you did. But, I'm sure that, what I want to do, I don't want to be the same old group of people running the thing. We want to get more people actively involved, and whatever it is, and that goes for all of you. If there's something you think you'd like to get involved in, for goodness sake, let us know, because we want to, there's a limit to what Wayne, me and the others can do.
Yeah.
We need help and support from all of you, really, to drive this one forward. Okay. So if you can think of anything, just let us know. All right.
It's more of a case of why not, rather than you can't do something.
Yeah, exactly. What can you do for us?
Wayne, the last time I went to the studio, it was a very long time ago, but there were boxes and boxes, crates full of CDs.
There still are.
There still are there, are they? Okay. Well, I was only wondering whether you've got any plans for those, because I know when I had just a look, even, and this is, I think, even before I started my big band and swing program on that other radio station, but there were quite a few in there. So if they're still there, and if you've got no plans, have you any objection if we, or I may start a thing, go through and have a rummage and then select a few and then donate something to the studio for taking them?
There are boxes of CDs in the office.
Yeah.
You can help yourselves to those. There are a shed load of CD wallets that our late friend Jen Hemmings donated to us. I think there's about 20 CD wallets that all had about 200 CDs in.
There's a stack of stuff.
They're sat in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's why I remember them.
Yeah, they are not going to be used by the charity. So if you want them, feel free to help yourself, because ultimately once we're back in, the plan would be to just get rid of them.
No, well, I'll go through them in that case. I'll next time I'm in, I might just pop in and have a rummage and see.
It will be the world's most eclectic CD collection you'll ever come across.
Yes, I seem to remember there was some amazing odd stuff in there.
But yeah, I mean, we're not planning to retain any of that stuff.
No.
Yeah, if you've got plans that please help yourselves.
I remember a long time ago, one of our previous members, he got us quite a bit of money when we sold off a lot of our vinyls, didn't he? He went through it and with his knowledge.
We've tried it again, Richard, and it just was a non-starter.
Really, yeah. So even with CDs, it's less.
We've already tried to flog some via Music Magpie, and
we did get a little bit from Music Magpie. We didn't get a massive amount, but we got a little bit of the stuff that they wanted, and there's a couple of stuff that they were going to buy off us for a penny, which is great. Okay, it just gets rid of it at the end of the day. But ultimately, the only boxes that I wouldn't want anyone to touch are the ones that are mine personally, the ones that are in Studio One.
I wouldn't go near that. I know they're yours. Yeah.
And the big cardboard box which is in Studio 2, which is ultimately that's my now CD collection.
Yeah.
Which, if Stuart got his hands on it, he'd be.
Yes, but I've already gone.
He really.
I've already gone and bought most of them.
He's ripped most of those anyway.
I know he probably has.
He probably has actually.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay, because I know that just going through them once, I think, God, there's some rare folk here. And I can remember there was quite a lot of big band and swing stuff, which would be useful to me.
Help yourself, Richard. Help yourself.
I'll help myself, and then I'll put a donation in as well.
I mean, certainly one thing with that is that Jen Hemming's collection, there is just one heck of a collection there, you know, under the sort of counter in the crew room. There's just box after box after box.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants them, take a box. In fact, to be honest, for, you know, a get well message to Max, I might chuck a couple his way, and that'll give him something to listen to for the next 10 weeks.
Okay, on that happy note, I think we really have got
time that you can have, Max.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much, everybody. And like I said, good to see you all. See you all in the flesh soon, I hope.
Somebody send me those links again to becoming a
volunteer.
Now I know I don't have to fill everything in. I might actually go and do something this time. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.